When I say client server architecture, this is my server. Or you got my point? So server is a machine or what? What is that? Server is a machine. In that machine, I'm deploying a web application called eStore. Server is a machine. I'm going to deploy a web application called eStore. Or you got my point? So how many modules a eStore can contain? Yesterday we spoke about it, right? Can you tell me how many modules will be there in the eStore project?
4.
Come again?
4.
4 modules.
4 modules. Can you tell me what are all those modules?
User module, product module,
User module,
Product
module, and then order
Payment.
module,
order model,
payment module.
dispatcher. All these module are packed in a ASP.NET web application. Corresponding database will be connected. This is your database. Or you got my point? So this database will have eStore database. eStore database. You understand my point? I have a eStore project. I have a different type of modules. And whenever I need to interact with this database, this eStore application will connect to this particular database. If he required a data related to user, he will get it from the database. Or he want to insert data to the database, he is going to get it from the database. Or inserting into the database. Like that product module, to maintain any products, like that any orders, like that any dispatcher, all these informations are stored in where? Where it will be stored? Database. Or you got my point? So this entire system, we will call it as a web server. This entire system, we will call it as a web server. So where your application will be deployed? Web server or web client?
Server.
Come again?
Web server.
Web server. Okay, your application is in web server, your database is in web server. Now, assume you are all clients. Somebody can access from mobile, somebody can access from laptop, somebody can access from tab. Yeah, there are n number of concurrent users. Those are called as client. Those are called as client. What is the software is required to access this application? What is the software you need in your client machine?
Angular.
No.
Software browser.
Yes. In your laptop or in your computer or in your tab, you require a software called browser. Or you got my point? With that browser, you are entering a URL saying that http eStore.com. http eStore.com. What will happen? When you make a request, this request will come from client to this particular web server. This server will go and get the data and return the data from the application to here. You understand my point?
Yes, sir.
Similar way, the client to also work in like that. Similar way, client to also work will be like that. And client 3 also work will be like that. Okay, now tell me what type of architecture this is overall. What type of architecture we can call this? The overall architecture, what type we will call?
3-tier.
Client server architecture.
Client server.
It's a client server architecture. Client server architecture. Okay, now tell me where we can have ASP.NET Core in this architecture.
Web server side in the eStore
Web server
project.
side in the
eStore.
Absolutely correct. So ASP.NET Core will be developed by eStore. ASP.NET Core developed by eStore project. You all understand? Everybody,
Yes, sir.
unmute and say yes or no.
Yes.
Ishwar, Mohammed, Agraham, Ravi, Punjabi.
Yes.
You understand my point? You all clear my point? Now, if you want, you can take this screenshot, put it in a group. Anyone can do this?
Yeah, take a screenshot.
Done? No. Okay. Keep it in the group so that everyone can able to learn. Okay. Now coming back here. To develop ASP.NET Core application, what are all the prerequisites we want? What is the software we want? To develop any ASP.NET Core MVC application, we require
Just Studio 22.
Visual Studio.NET as an IDE. What is meant by IDE? Integrated development environment. To develop any application, we require an integrated application. Okay. Now, sir, in ASP.NET Core, we required a programming language. To develop any ASP.NET Core, we require a programming language or not?
Yes.
The programming language used by ASP.NET Core is C#.NET. Understand my point? Anybody who want to build ASP.NET Core application, their prerequisite is C#.NET. If you want to develop application in Java or Spring or microservice, what is the basic requirement? You need to learn core Java. Am I right? You need to learn a core Java or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Similar way, if you want to create a project in ASP.NET, you require minimum prerequisite is C#.NET. But don't worry about it, C#.NET will take care. If you're not able to understand also, that is not a problem. Okay, let's build a small application. Go to Start, search with Visual Studio. This is your project. This is your Studio app. Click on the Studio. Studio is opening. So this is your IDE place. Now here, when you open a project with Visual Studio 2022, try to install 2022 and then continue with the code. The moment you make continue with the code, this kind of ID will come. Here you go to File, New, Project. Will you all able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Click on that. Once you click on that, you see the different types of templates will create. It will load it. In this, you simply select ASP.NET Core MT. Don't create any project with the template. Okay. You don't need any template. Simply go and start ASP.NET Core empty. You see there is a C#.
Yes, sir.
Akhilesh. Who is Akhilesh? Akhilesh. Okay, you see here ASP.NET Core empty. Okay, in this ASP.NET Core empty, click next and say sample web application. Sample web application. I'm creating a project. Okay, listen carefully. I'm creating a project. Now here, click on this. Go back to source code. Go to local disk, microservices. This one. Click on source underscore code. Okay. Now select the folder. Now you have a source code or not? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
And
Local
then
disk.
click next. If you look here, you see your project name and your solution name is same. I'll tell you what is solution. Don't worry about it. Right now, I'm not focused on solution. I'm only focusing on project. Okay. And then I'm giving a location. No need to do anything here. When you go and click next, you see here, what is the targeted framework you need to work? You see, there is a long-term support. This is a standard support. The framework 8.0 in core has a long-term support. So which one we need to choose? Long-term support or standard support?
Long.
Always
Long term.
preferable will be long-term support. And you simply say configure for HTTPS. If you want to create this project with HTTPS, you have to configure. Right now, I don't need this. Don't look into all these things. We will come by this one later point of time. Okay, if you enable container, you can go to Windows and you can create a Docker file. Okay, so I will teach Docker later point of time. Don't worry about it. Okay, once you've done that, create. See here, project is created. This is how the project will be created. Simply say sample web application project overview. Or you got my point. You can see all the publishers connected and all. No need to worry anything right now. Just close it. Okay, then go to solution. You see there is a project is created. Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Under the solution, there is a project created. Okay. In the solution, when I select this and double click, what is the framework it is targeted?
8.2.
And it has a implicit usage and SDK. What is the SDK we are following? This is your project. Okay. Moment you done this project, you see empty solution with only one file called program.cs. This is the entry of that application. This is the file will become an entry. What is the entry point of any programming language code? Which one we will call entry point?
Main method.
Main method. Similar fashion in ASP.NET Core, you have an entry point as main method. This particular code will have a suppressed by main method because this was written in C#10. C#10 does not expose main method. Okay, you all understand? Everybody, you need to speak. Unmute
Yes, sir.
yourself and talk. Everyone.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Everyone, I want everyone to be attention. Okay. Once you've done that, you see here, I'm putting a breakpoint. Listen carefully. I created a breakpoint and then save. Here, you see there are different types of profiles. I'll come that one later point of time. When you select IAS Express, this project will be loaded with IAS. Now you see it got for the contacted. It detected the code for execution. This is the very first line of code will be started by ASP.NET code. What will happen is it will try to create a builder with argument. Now you see. This builder will have set of services will be loaded. How many services it is loaded? This builder method has 126 services will be loaded background. Understand my point? These are all the services which will run automatically by default. To run web application, by default, that's builder object holding all these services. Understand my point?
Yes, sir.
You have hosting environment, host builder, configuration, application lifetime, logging factory, logger, option, service injection, service dependency, startup file, matching, disclosure. Like that, so many services will be loaded. But how many services is loading? 126. After that, you will have a build method. The moment you make a build method, your application name will be running like this. You see here, environment application name. What is the environment we are using? Development. What is the lifetime of that particular application? Right now, it is false. Is there any middleware added into the application? No. Is there any, how many services are there? 127 services we created. Like that, once you've done that, this is the one which will be shown in the browser saying that hello world. Understand my point? Now, if you continue, you get hello world application. Did I created anything here? Did I made any change here? With the
No.
4 line of statement, I built a web application with just a 4 line of code. What is the first line of code? What is the first line of code? What is the purpose of the first line of code? It will try to add all objects, all services related to executing the application. Right? After collecting the services, what will happen? It will get builded. It will, you see here, I'm just going, right click, go to definition. What they're saying, can anyone talk? Can anyone read this? Come on, you need to speak. What they're saying. What is the purpose?
Configure container callbacks, run after configure services callbacks, including the.
It all will create on their own. Okay, you no need to worry. Everything will be taken care by build method. The moment you added the services into the service builder create an instance for that, make it ready for you to work. Understand my point? Understand my point? Anybody have any questions? Ishwar? Srinivas?
No question.
No, sir.
Anybody? Kamran,
Yes, sir.
Syed, Umesh Chandra, Suraj. Can I move forward? Now, let's come back. Sir, I want to create my own message instead of this. How to do that? I want to create my own message to build the project. So how to do that? I simply say here, I told you yesterday, right? When a JSON comes, what is the how you are going to pass the data from request to response? What is the format you will pass data?
JSON format, right?
JSON format. In the request, what are all the information will be available?
Header,
Two informations are available
body.
in context. What is that?
Body and response.
Header and body.
Sorry, head and body. Body.
So here in the run method, listen carefully, in run method, I'm going to use HTTP context. Context lambda context dot response dot, hold on a second. Response dot write async. Here I go say, welcome to eStore project. I am building my own custom. And here I'm going to say async. Okay, you all understand? What I did, I don't have a map get method. I remove this map get method. In the app.run method, I'm passing my request response with the help of HTTP context. In the HTTP context, response I added. In the header also, I'm going to give context dot response dot header. I can build my own header dot add. It's a string value pair. Okay, it's a collection. So I say status code, or you can build like this. You can have like this status code equal to 200, something like, or you can make 400. Now build the project. Then run the project. You see, there is a welcome to eStore is created or not? Say yes or no?
Yes.
You got the welcome to eStore. Did I created a response within the run method under the HTTP context? Now you see here, browser, right click. inspect element, listen carefully, go to network, listen, see this. Again, I am refreshing. You got the localhost project from the server to the browser. You got the localhost project which is coming from the browser.
Yes, sir.
Let me clear once again. You listen carefully here. In this window, you listen carefully under network. When I make a request of refresh, a new two file will be comes. One is favicon, another one is localhost. When you click on localhost, you see there is a response header.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you able to see the response header here?
Yeah, yeah.
In the response header, I had appended a status code 400, right?
Yes, sir.
The code which I written here, listen carefully. The code which I written, the status code of header is 400. Am I right? Is it there or not?
Yes, yes.
And then the response I generated, welcome to eStore project. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Everybody? Rakesh? Ravi? Guys, speak. The
Yes,
point
sir.
here is, whenever you make a request, every request and response should ask header and body. Or you got my point? Now, if you see here, request header. What is the request you are making? What is your request? The request has raw element and along with the code snippet. All these code snippets. Similar way, you will have a response header. When you click raw, it will say HTTP 200 is successful and you generated the response. From which machine they generated the response and what is the web server it is generated the response. The server is Microsoft IaaS. You see here, there is a Microsoft IaaS. Say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
From which server the response is coming from and which technology it has been built, ASP.NET. Or you got my point? And what type of content it is? It is an application.json. What is the result? If the result is 200, the request is successful. If the result is some other XYZ, the status is not successful. Understand my
Sir,
point?
sir,
Yes.
when we have manually added the status code 400, it should not come as a bad request.
No. I will tell you. We need to create 400 in a different way. I just given that
Okay.
header response.
This is only as a response. Okay.
Yes.
Not the actual request.
Not the actual request and
Yes.
response. I'm
Okay.
added the header. For example, let's take an example here. You are logged in, where your user identity will be holded in a header. You need to collect that header value, right? See, from your client machine, you are trying to give some information, posting some information to the server. You got my point? Whether the
Yes.
user is a valid user or not, you need to validate the token, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that is where you will use this one. I will tell that one, this request will be bad request or good request. We need to generate automatically from the server. Assume I create a logic here. I want to create a logic. Let's build a logic here. Int x equal to 10 divided by 0. What will happen? What will happen here?
Arithmetical error. Arithmetic error.
Divide by non-zero error. Divide by division by constant, potential fix. Now you see, it throws an error. We'll do one thing. I'll create int a, comma b, comma c. Okay, a equal to 10, b equal to 0, and I say here c, a, comma a, b. Okay, I remove the scope. Now run it. Is it a bad processing? Now, what is the error you are getting? Say, unhandled exception while processing the request. Now go to header. You see right click, view page. Sorry. Right click, inspect, go to network, refresh. You see what is the error you are getting? Response is 500. It is automatically generated.
Yes.
I got my point. Something is issue in the server. That is why it is generating automatically. I'm not doing anything. Now, if you look into the response, you get an HTML content. You got the point?
Yes, sir.
Everybody, who has asked this question?
Sami Ravi.
You got the point.
Yes,
so this is how ASP.NET Core will work. This is how any web application will work. Okay, be it to be Angular, be it to be React, be it to be .NET, be it to be Java, everything will be work in this fashion. Whenever this always act as a server, the code what you written is application server. Okay, it will be comes under the application server, and this is your client. Or you got my point? It can be available in any machine. After your deployment, your session will be worked. Understand my point?
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. So once you've done this with that routing, you see I get an error in the line number also. What is the line number you are getting? 15. Now you see here, it is also having a line number 15. Or you got my point? So this is how it will be detected and it will be identified. That's how you need to build a basic web application. Tomorrow we are going to talk about how to build a routing with a product-based application. We start with the project-based scenario and we start with the routing-based applications. Anybody have any questions and doubts, clarification, how to create project today? Feel free to ask. Come on, guys. Srinivas. Anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
Feel free to ask your question so that I can answer. And I have one more thing. Let me give one more answer. Sir, I have one run method. I have one run method. Listen carefully this. I'm going to have one run method and I'm going to have another run method. Will the both run method will execute in the project? Will it accept both? Here I'm going to say one. So actually, as part of the response, I need to get this response as well as this response. Am I right? Say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Actually, it will not happen, you see. Whether I'm getting a two things or one thing.
One thing.
Why? Why it is one? Why it is not two? Anybody? Give me an answer.
app.run terminates the middleware. It's the last part of the middleware. It won't go to the next part. We have to use app.map or app.use for that.
App dot?
Map or app.use.
How to use the use method?
The use method generally gives the what do we say the screen to the next one. App.map just simply works as an if condition.
That's all.
Yeah, that's what practically is. I don't know the theoretical part. I
Think,
think.
think, think, think. You are almost there, but I want you to explain in a different way.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You are almost there,
Mm-hmm.
but I want you to implement in a different way.
Okay. Mm, can't seem.
Actually, app dot, if you have n number of app dot run, even though it will only take consider as first app dot run as part of MVC core. Why? Because these are called as middleware pipeline. As part of this pipeline, you all understand this is your middleware pipeline. As part of the pipeline, you should have only one app dot run method. You understand my point? In program.cs file, in program.cs file, under the middleware configuration, I will show you the diagram of middleware, don't worry. Middleware configuration, we should have only one app dot run method. You all understand my point? We should have only one app dot run method. Okay. Any and it always, even though if we configure n number of app dot run method, it will detect only first app dot run method. You understand my point?
Yes, sir.
You understand my point? You understand this statement? The statement is in program.cs file under the middleware configuration. What is the middleware configuration? This is the place we will say middleware configuration. Or you got my point? Under the middleware configuration, we should have only one app.run method. Always we should have only one app.run method. Even though if we configure n number of app.run method, it will detect only first app.run method. So how many app.run method I created here?
Three, two.
2. In that, which one is detected? It is detected the eStore project or eStore project 1.
First one.
Eastern.
Now you see here. Understand? Sir, then how do I need to execute both of them, sir? What is the option, sir? You simply go here, you make the first one app.use and say here request. Listen carefully, request delegate, say context, comma, request delegate and say here, I can say request, something like that. And this request, you generate the context with the JSON and then say next. You need to have a next option. Sorry, request of context. Understand my point? First, it will execute this, and then it will come and execute this, and again it will give back. Now you see here, I put a configuration here. Listen carefully. I put a configuration here. I put a breakpoint. Use method has a breakpoint, run method has a breakpoint. Okay, now run it. Okay, here I need to say await. Since I'm using async, I have to wait. Two minutes. Okay, ulta. Now, which one is detected first? Use method or run method? Guys, which one is
Use
detected?
method. Use method.
Now, what happened? First, it create the async in that particular context response. Now, you see here, F10. Now, you go here in the response, content.response. You see, I got a raw, I got a text which has been generated in the header. Okay, don't worry, the response body will be generated and then it immediately go to the next method. Which method it is coming? Which method it is coming?
Run method.
From the use, I'm coming to run method. Now you see again it will come back and again it will generate the response. Finally, it will go to the run method. Now, if you see the output, you get both the responses. Understand my point? Say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you need to build the pipeline like this. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions?
No. Now run it. Got it? So the request is coming. Okay. Now go here. In the response.write async JSON, you got welcome to eStore and say Narendra. Okay. So what is the flow will come? The flow will come from this context and then it will also come from this context and then it will come back. So can I have n number of middleware configured with the help of use method? Yes or no? Can I create n number of middleware in a same request? Is it possible? Venugopal, Ravi, Ishwar.
Yes, sir, it is possible.
Yes.
Okay, so what is the purpose here? To handle that situation in program.cs under the middleware configuration, to handle multiple middleware, what we need to do? What we need to do?
We have to use
We need to use what method? App.use method. Make sense or not? In which it contained two arguments. What are all those arguments? The first one is
request
HTTP
delegate
context.
context.
Second one is request
Delegate.
delegate. Got the point? Everybody clear?
Clear, sir.
Sir, output of that both is not coming, right? It is only taking from the use.
No. It will come.
And just shows.
You see here, I'm taking this one. You got it? I made a mistake, small mistake. That is why here you have to use await. I am not used await. That is the only mistake which I had. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Here I can simply say hello Satya and hello Narendrababu. You got the point?
Yes. So we'll have to use next statement as well.
Because
After.
you need to request delegate, right?
Okay. Okay. Understood. Yeah.
See, in the pipeline, it is part of the request delegate. So tomorrow I want to build a middleware, custom middleware. How to build a middleware? Okay, we'll discuss that one tomorrow.
Okay.
Right now, I generated the middleware. I created the middleware in program.cs file, but I don't want to show the middleware here. What I want to do is, I want to call that middleware in a separate class. For that, you need to right click, add, new item. You see there is a middleware. You see there is a middleware class.
Yes.
We need to create this middleware tomorrow as a custom class. Okay.
Okay.
That middleware will explain everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.